Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Women Crushing It Wednesdays. We're gonna have a great show tonight. I got my girls with me. How you doing, Esme? You good?
I'm real good. I'm excited tonight.
Good. Me too. Nika, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Well, before
How
we
are
jump
you? Because you
into
are in Puerto Rico.
oh, well, I'm burnt, sunburnt, but I'm good. I'm having a great time. Yes, live from Puerto Rico. It's been great. We're having a
Eh,
great time. Yes. Beach, fun, food, everything. It's marvelous. Marvelous, darling.
All right, let me play our commercial here.
Yeah, but before we jump into tonight, here we go.
Let's see.
Your favorite girls from Women Crushing It Wednesdays came to you just in time for the holidays to help you whack that bush. Use our special code WCIW for 20% off Manscaped products and free shipping. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. And you already know 20% off, free shipping, WCIW on that code.
Whack
Get
that
you
bush.
some. Whack that
That bu-
bush. Your balls will thank you. Absolutely. They will thank you. Nika, what do we got going on tonight?
well, we're today is Esme's day, okay? Today is her story, and her life with boxing, and her personal story that I know she's nervous about sharing. So, but everybody in the chat is always warm and friendly. So, I think you're gonna do fine. So,
Absolutely. You have our full support, and I think it's a great thing and a brave thing what you're doing. And let's go. Let's go. Where do we want to start?
Well, how I mean, I loved fighting. Then I started to love boxing because it was a way, it's just similar in so many ways. So I got into a lot of school fights when I was in junior high. So I was like from like 12 to about 14. And I got into a really bad fight and I broke the girl's nose and fractured her jaw. No, not good. But it was, it led me to obviously having like probation. And I started boxing at a community gym in Barrio Logan. And my probation officer was like, you know what, you love it so much, just try, just see, maybe something out of it. Turns out it was a natural. I was a pretty good natural. I was there for maybe 3, 4 weeks, and they recommended me to my amazing coach Juan, which is the one in the picture. And he didn't have obviously any girls. I was the first girl here in San Diego to fight competitively and to be an amateur and to kind of start, you know, going to tournaments, looking for girls and trying to find more girls, especially my weight class. I was bantam, so I wanted to make sure I had a lot of competition. There was none. There was not a lot of competition back in the day. And that is what got me into boxing in the first place. And, just the street fighting led into the actual boxing. And that started my love and passion for it. And, I did it for a long time. And let me see. So
Do
I trained.
I
What
was
was
going to
that?
ask you, so from the street fighting to the boxing, do you feel like that was an outlet? Because I know there's a lot of people that might be getting in trouble. And did you find for yourself that that was a nice outlet for you?
It was an outlet in a lot of ways. Um, it's so weird to say, but when I fought, it was about 99.9% of the time self-defense. Like either someone was coming at me and it was my reaction. So I didn't go out looking for fighting. It was honestly more just I reacted by fighting back, and I could. It was something that was very natural. And when I started boxing, I was like, oh my God, I could do this, not get in trouble, and still get my love for fighting at the same time. And I really do feel like it put me on such a good path. And that's what got me to where I'm at today. I don't know. That picture was in my gym, in the famous gym in Tijuana, Zona Norte, where Eric Morales trains, Jaime Munguia, Chavez have all trained there. So my godfather, for many who don't know, is Eric Morales' dad, Olivaritos. So he was the one that took care of me in all my fighting in Tijuana and trying to get me fights down there and compete into like the bigger tournaments. And here in California and San Diego, it was Coach Juan Estrada. So for a while, we were at a gym that we were invited to here in San Diego. And it was, they invited me and my team there. And I used to spar with this guy, right? Back then, there wasn't much, what is like a groin protector for women, you know, the breast protector. It was such a new thing that there wasn't enough protective gear for us, only the headgear, which it still worked somewhat. And we used to spar a lot. He broke my nose little by little. And in one of our sparring sessions, it was really hard when he got me many times really good in a lot of areas. And I went into the bathroom, cried it out. And I remember coming out of the bathroom and running into him. And he admitted that his dad and his grandpa would pay him to hit me hard in like my ovaries, my nose, my jaw. So depending on where he hit me, he would get paid X amount of money. If he made me bleed, if he made my nose bleed, he'd give him $100. And what they wanted was for me not to return, not to be in the gym. They didn't want a girl in the gym.
So
And
his dad actually paid him?
yeah, they'd give him money.
To go
Throughout the whole
extra hard on you. Oh my God.
through many sparring sessions. And I think the guilt got to him. I'm not making excuses for him, but I think the guilt got to him. And he expressed to me like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. And his face was just like, I knew he was sorry, but what he was doing was just wrong. And what his grandpa and dad were doing was just wrong. So yeah, he would get paid to hit me. And I got hit in the ovaries many times. I got hit my nose. I mean, he broke my nose little by little. So it's just completely shattered. I have like no cartilage.
Oh wow.
It's like silly putty. It's so
during this time, did you feel like that was happening, or did you just feel like, oh my gosh, you know, he's going too hard on me, he's not working with me? What was going through your mind? Did you have a clue of what he was doing?
So I could feel there was some hatred from him towards me. I knew, but I guess my way of like justifying it or thinking it was normal was because I was like, okay, I'm in boxing. I know there's only guys. I know I have to spar with the boys, and I know they're not going to go easy on me. So it was such a fine line that I didn't know, and I couldn't distinguish, and I didn't have anyone around me to be like, hey, like, that's not right, you know? I mean, I would hear my coach yell, like, you know, keep it above the belt or do this or do that. But I never really saw it, and I didn't know what it was until he confessed to me. And I was like, holy shit, like, that's not cool.
And after that, did you continue sparring him? Like, did y'all continue, and did he continue to go hard on you, or did he work with you? Like, what happened after that?
So I told my mom that night. We went home and she was like, don't tell your dad, because my dad would have like burned the place down. He would have, I don't know what he would have done, but he would have reacted. And so my mom didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone except for my coach. And I know they left the gym. I left the gym. And that's when I started fighting in Tijuana, because my godfather was like, no, like, if you're going to fight anywhere, I want to see what's going on, who's around you, what's happening. He's like, I'm going to take care of you. And that's when I just stopped fighting here in San Diego, and I went to Tijuana and began my boxing career down there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, you know, back in the day, many years ago, when I would, you know, I would have to spar guys because there was no girls either, but I never, you know, experienced that. I mean, yeah, there were some guys that didn't want you in the gym, and even some women, you know, and but anytime I ever sparred a male, they always worked with me. Every now and then, of course, they might, you know, if you hit them good, they're going to hit you hard, but just to like let you know, like, hey, you know, but I just can't even imagine imagine going through that. But that didn't deter you. You continued.
Oh.
What was going through your brain after he told you that, and you're just like, well, I'm not going anywhere. Like, what what was going through your head?
A woman in boxing, I didn't want to show that I was sad. I didn't want to show that I was like any tears. So my reaction when he told me that, I looked at him and I was like, well, thank you for letting me know. Never went back. And I mean, years later, I heard and I read about it in the newspaper. He was in a bad car accident. He was hit by a drunk driver, and then he was paralyzed from the waist down.
Oh wow.
And a lot of people, I remember people like that knew, in the area, like, oh my God, this is what happened. Like, this is karma. And I was like, you know what, whether it is or isn't.
I didn't want to say it, but I was gonna say that was karma. I didn't want to say it, but
So was it the kid that was paralyzed, or the dad, or the grandpa?
So it was the kid, but I know that his dad was in the car, and I know something happened as well to his dad. I just don't know how hurt his dad was with, but they were both injured by a drunk driver.
Wow.
And I remember that night that he told me, I was like, I don't care how, I don't care what I'm going to do. But one day when I make it in boxing, in whatever way I make it, I'm going to make it so that when we cross paths, he knows who the hell I am, and he knows how hard I work my ass to get to where I'm at. And I haven't crossed paths with him yet, though. But I don't know. It's always like, holy shit! Like, what am I
if
going
he
to do?
was watching right now, what would you say to him?
You know what? The only thing is that it affected me in my later years when my husband and I tried to have kids. I had 3 ectopic pregnancies and 1 miscarriage. So they gave me these shots that were called like methotrexate. They used it for cancer patients. And that pretty much had to flush out the babies because my fallopian tubes were damaged. And so I had some scarring tissue inside. My husband says, he blames it on that. And I think it was an effect that did damage me in the long run. And that's really the only thing that I hate, is that I didn't have the option to be like, I do want to have kids or I don't want to have kids. Like that, he just took that away from me. And that's what hurts the most.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Ugh.
I am too. It's like people don't really realize. I believe that, and I don't know. I think that your case is such an extreme case. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But people don't realize, just period, women in boxing. It's very hard for all of us. As boxers, as coaches, as people that cover boxing, photographers, everything. It is harder. Just because it is a men's, sport. But I think what you went through is like absolutely horrible. And I'm just so glad that you have the courage to talk about it, because there's other women that might be going through it right now and they don't know. It's like, oh, what's boxing? So I just need to suck it up, or, not say anything because this is the sport that I picked. But what is the fine line? Obviously someone paying someone to hurt you is absolutely unacceptable. But as far as being in the ring, where do we draw the line when we have to spar men as women? Where do you think that is?
It's so hard. Like, I spar with my husband. Like, we like to spar together, but he's just working defense and I'm just, going all out on punches. And I think you can see it in their eyes if it's a hateful shot or if it was really an accident, like a reaction, like a reflex. But it really is such a fine line. And I think maybe some women just don't know what to look for, like, and be like, holy shit, like he meant to hurt me there, or he meant to do that on purpose. But yeah, it's like, we have to protect our ovary, our breast, pretty much everything on our body. So, because we don't know what affects later on. And that's the biggest deal, is like all the women now have to be protected. All the girls that are in the sport have to be protected.
Yeah, so you're a big advocate of the breast protectors and the growing protectors and everything. you know. And I mean, I am too. A lot of people, they don't want to wear them, but I really think that they're so important, especially, well, I don't want to say especially, but the young girls, the young girls that are coming up, uh, before puberty, during puberty, and after. It's just, I think it's so detrimental if they don't wear them. I don't think that they realize what it's going to affect later on. A lot of
Do you
girls are
think that
going
he was doing this just to like scare you out of the gym and like because you're a female, because you were a female?
Yeah, the intention was
So
get me out of.
just get you out of the gym and be like,
I
this
was
is
the
not
only
for
girl.
you, and you were the only girl. Yeah.
And I look at it too, and I'm like, maybe because they all wanted to be really rough and play around, and they're like, oh, we can't do that because the girl is here. But whatever the reason is, like I was there, and they had to deal with it, and so their way of getting me out was he was the closest in weight, and so they obviously target him and tell him where to hit me or how to hit me, and he just followed their orders because that's his dad and grandpa. So like when I meet little girls, there's a lot that I follow and I really truly support. And oh my God, when I see them fight, I cry. When I see them spar, I yell at the parents. I'm like, make sure they're wearing their growing protector. Like, make sure they have this on. Make sure. And I tell all their parents my story for the same reason, because I want those girls to have the option. If they don't want to have kids, I want them to have that option. If whether it's something they could avoid a risk later, I want them to just have that. Like, and I think not a lot of parents, especially girls' parents, are very aware of the things that can and cannot happen with the sport.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Right, Yogi said boxing is not a game. Playing games to get rid of someone through heightened violence is corrupt. It is. I mean, we see. We just had an athlete that's it's in a coma from last weekend's fight. It's like getting in the ring. Whether it be the amateur or the pro realm, is life or death. It's nothing to play about. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize the seriousness of it. Um, and everyone should have a right to box if they want to, male or female, and no matter what age, or whatever, where they come from. It's too bad that this young man, now he's got to carry that for the rest of his life. And maybe he didn't want to do it, but he wanted to be obedient to his father and his grandfather, but he's got to carry that for the rest of his life.
But he it was bothering him to a point where he felt like he had to tell you that happened.
Yeah.
So it was something that was definitely haunting
he had
him.
some kind of guilt, and I'm like, I see that. It doesn't justify anything.
No, not
at all. Because
not
he
at all.
still could have said, no, absolutely
Yeah.
not will I do that. Keep your money. So he had a choice. You didn't have a choice, but he had a choice. You didn't have a choice. Okay, if I get in here, he's going to try to destroy me, or he's going to try to ruin me. And, you were in there doing what everybody else was doing. You didn't have that choice. He did. So yeah, I feel a little for him because our parents and our grandparents are very influential, but we still, at the end of the day, have a choice. And he chose to, to do what he did. And I'm sure that it haunts him, if he has any kind of conscience with it, which it seems like it did, because he did come to you, but still it's, I don't know. It's, I'm speechless, because there's a lot of women right now that are in the gym going through this, I'm sure.
Late 90s, early 2000s. I just almost said my age. So,
girl, you're spring chicken, honey.
And back then it was just different, and it sucked that. And I always say, I was like, man, I wish I would have started. I wish that happened now, because this is the prime time for women in boxing. But obviously at the time that I was going through it, it wasn't my time. It wasn't a time for women's in boxing, but being able to see the growth until now, I love it. Like, I think it's amazing. And that's why, like, I love shooting the kids. I love, taking pictures of the amateurs. Like, there's so much, to me, there's just so much comfort. It makes my heart happy. And at the end of the day, every picture I took is probably one, I have more favorites in the amateurs than in the pros.
I think that you should maybe start like a little program in the gyms that you take pictures of where they have little girls, where you maybe like make a little pamphlet for the parents to kind of like advocate for like making sure that they protect their bodies to
Mhm.
a point where they can have children in the future, you know.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know if you can like find some information and put it in a little pamphlet and just pass it out to the parents that have girls in the gym, because when I think about it, I feel like a lot of women that get into the sport of boxing, they don't really think about having children. They're just so dedicated to the sport. They just
Yeah.
the children are
We
not
never
on
think
there.
about the future or the long term. We think about right here,
no,
right now, what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
but look like Muhammad Ali. There's going to be so much effects that we're going to see in the next few years from fighters that have had their hard knockouts, or that have just been extremely punched to the face many times, and we're gonna start seeing more and more like medical things that are going to come out, and that's the scary part. It's like we don't know
For
what
sure.
can happen. We don't know what we can go through.
No, no, it's true, and it's like, I mean, as it is, just punching each other in the face is dangerous and it's detrimental to our health. But whenever you do that other stuff, where you purposely hurt someone or purposely maliciously try to run them out of the gym, I think that's just a whole other thing. It's a crime, because anybody that wants to box should be able to box. I mean, for a lot of us, this is our outlet. This is our escape. This is where we feel, accepted and feel good. We have a place. Anyone that's ever been in a gym knows it's like your second home. It's where you're supposed to take refuge and be able to trust people. It's a very intimate thing when you get in the ring with somebody. They're punching you, you're punching them, but at the end of the day, it's an intimate connection. It's hard to explain, you know. I don't
and
know.
you knew that the issues that you had medically came from this because you had like scar tissue and stuff on so the
I didn't have prior surgeries or
so
anything
yeah,
like
so
that.
there wouldn't be any reasons you would have any kind of scar
Exactly,
tissue.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for it was just that's the only thing that came to mind because I mean I
You
was
didn't
like
have
I
like no
should
car accidents or anything like that. It was just it was the only
yeah,
reason that could have
so I
been, yeah.
do. And it was one of those things. It took me like about 7 years to be like, okay, I can't have kids. I'm fine with it. So now I can actually talk about it and be like, I'm fine not having kids. I mean, it is what it is. It just wasn't my calling. So all the amateurs, like I love them, and it's like I'm like, oh, I don't need kids. Like I've got like 100 kids, and
No,
it's
I was going to say, I think that's beautiful because you did not let that just totally turn you off from boxing. Now you're using this to like protect somebody else and to do what you love still. Where does that come from? Because
Yeah. Because I
that's
think I would have
tough.
been like done with boxing after that. Like,
Mhm.
that's yeah.
but then, boxing's that toxic relationship you have.
Relationship, yeah.
You love it so much, then you hate it, then you're like, I'm done with you, and then you come back to it. And I've had so many breakups with boxing, so many. But when I went to Tijuana, and I was around like Eric and Chavez and like all and Travieso and all these legends, and none of them thought I was like stupid for being in the gym, and they all like, I could hit the bag next to them, and they'd be like, "Oh, do this," and give me tips. I
Mm.
realized like, okay, I'm in
Okay, that
Tijuana
video.
where there's tons of machismo, and all these guys are being supported. I was like, I must be extremely talented, but also, they're supporting me, and that's the biggest reason why I didn't stop because the support that I got in Tijuana was so big, and that's a
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah, no,
That
you
was
could
during
talk
COVID.
over it because I took the sound out of it, so you could talk over
Oh, okay,
it.
that was during COVID, but yeah, my husband likes to fill me on the bag. He learned quite a bit from me.
Well, especially during COVID, it was such an outlet. G Funky said something. He said makes me think twice about having my daughter participate in boxing. Well, the thing about it is, in my opinion, like brother, is that I believe that you're somebody that would be there, like nothing, because you've been around the sport and you know the risks and you've heard Esme's story, and I think that's why it's so important for her to say it, because you know who, who would know that something like this could happen. You know, you put your kids in a sport and you think, you know, they're going to be safe and they're doing what they love, but now that you hear the story, it's like, even, yeah, it makes you think twice, but you're also aware that these things can happen. And I think it makes us better parents and just better. It brings awareness, I think. I'm sorry Esme had to go through this for this to happen, but it seems like a lot of times something tragic has to happen for great things to happen, unfortunately.
Exactly. And that, you know, when I looked at it that way, I'm not trying to discourage parents from putting their kids in boxing, because every girl needs to know how to defend herself, whether they take it the competitive way or just as a hobby. But it's more for the awareness. Like, okay, if she's gonna spar a boy, make sure he's a couple pounds lighter, you know, make sure you're watching, make sure you're nearby, because a lot of coaches, I feel, with the little girls do it for like the fame, to be able to be like, oh yeah, I have a girl on my team, and yet they're not looking out for their needs. They're not watching if she's being hit too hard by the opponent, if she's, you know, being hit in the lower region area a lot by the boy. Like, they need to call those things out. So the coach needs to be aware and the parents need to be aware, because they both need to be vocal.
Yeah. I mean, we're so sorry about your loss, Remy. We are. COVID did a lot of crazy things for a lot of people. Tragic things. That's for sure. Absolutely. And Mike says, thanks for sharing your story. Most definitely. You know, I hope and I pray that, you know, parents that are thinking about having their kids in boxing remember her story and they do some research, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, that's it's kind of weird that we don't hear more stories like that happen, because you know, I'm pretty sure you are not the only female that been through that, but there's probably dozens of stories like that, because back then you know, now that women's boxing is flourishing, but back then when you were boxing, women were very welcomed in the sport. So I could just imagine another lady in another gym trying to box and they coming at her like that. And I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, I think I would have totally been turned off from boxing. So yeah, you definitely have a toxic love and hate relationship with boxing.
And, you know,
I think once you're bitten, it's like forever. You know?
It does not get out your system.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
So Eric Morales has a younger brother that fights too, Ivan Morales, and Ivan's the southpaw, and Giovanni Santillan. There were two southpaws. Giovanni Santillan with top rank, but he was in my first team and he was my first sparring partner. And then I had Eric's little brother, who's also a southpaw, as my second partner. And so I can fight a southpaw like no other. When I noticed when Ivan would spar with me, there were moments where I knew I caught him really good and he'd be so mad. And he'd probably just jab my face like just a push.
Bitch.
But that's when
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
It would just hold it, and I hated it so much.
Oh yeah.
But it's so annoying. But that's when I realized how he was sparring with me was to teach me, and how the other guy was sparring with me was to obviously hurt me.
Hurt you, yeah.
So
yeah, there's a difference, you know. Like I said, when I sparred the guys, they you know, they would just make sure that I didn't, if I hit them hard, they were gonna you know, but nothing, yeah, just okay, calm down. But then it was funny with the girls, you know, they'd be like, okay, we're not gonna go hard on each other, let's just work. And then you get out there and they just like try to knock your head off. So I'm like, okay, we're not doing this. We're not just working.
Or you catch them good and embarrass them, because everybody's gonna be like, ooh, you got hit by a girl, you know,
right?
Typical. And then they're gonna react.
It's a lose. Yeah. There's no winning. You spar a guy and they beat you, or you beat them. It's everybody's just. So whenever you go into the gyms today, do you see the changes that have been made? Do you see a difference from whenever you were in there?
Oh yeah. There's there's so much differences, and I keep my circle of boxing family very small. So all the ones in my family boxing circle are people that I respect, admire, and that I see are making those changes and are improving the sport with the kids at a young age.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that I could say the same thing. I mean, I didn't, suffer that. I suffered just being shunned from the other female coach or the other, you know, female heads, that were there, and being thrown into the fire, and not getting any help and stuff like that, which, is nothing compared to what you went through. But it was definitely a struggle, and but when you want to be somewhere, you keep on keeping on. I think I've
I,
seen a difference now too, especially from the female support.
but I just don't get why women just can't help each other. It's like, oh my God, it's another woman in the sport. Like, I'd be
Hmm.
thrilled. I'd be like, yes, another one. But no, there's some women that are just like, no, like I can only be the only one. Like, step aside, and it makes it harder.
Yeah, and that's I think that's, I don't know if it's new or it's more, I don't know. I think there's more women now doing different things in boxing. So I don't know. I don't understand either. I mean, I always say there's enough room at the table for us all to eat. Like, let's just, we can all do, you know, we can all do it. Like, why not? And that's, as y'all know, this is part of the reason why we have the show, because we want to support, everybody, but especially women in the sport, that are trying to make it, um and I think we all need to support each other. I just think it would make for much better, I don't know. I think it'd be better in boxing because you see more women, and let us talk and let us do our thing. But I don't know. I don't know if that's
But
gonna
then there are a few that don't need to be nowhere near the sport.
happen. I mean,
Just gonna say that. I'd
A
like
that
to
few,
that
there's
add
no, you know what? You are right. That is true.
chupacabras. No.
That is
Let
so
me be
true.
let me be nice. No.
No,
so
you're
when
you're
I know the sport, because there's some people who don't know it. I actually know the sport. And I always tell my comments are always based on like a fighter perspective because I've been in the gym. And so it's just so different. And you have the fans that don't know too much of what goes on, but they feel they can judge or say what they want. And so there's always like different types of people in boxing.
So what made you get into photography for boxing? Like, were you already like a picture person, or you just wanted to find something still that you wanted to be included in boxing, but you know, and how did you fall
Man,
into
I
that?
bought my
Because you take such great pictures too, so it's like,
I love the sport, and I think my heart's just in it, which is I can catch great moments. But I loved photography since I was very young. Like my dad made me a dark room or the black room, dark room, whatever
oh
it's called,
yeah.
back when it was film camera. And so I've always loved photography. My husband says I was a photographer turned into a fighter, then turned into a photographer again.
Yeah.
Because if I would have known back then I could be a photographer in boxing, I would have, man, I'd be so advanced by now. But I remember being at all the Pacquiao fights against Eric, and I was a little girl just with so much access and a camera, and all of those pictures were like blurry or black and
Oh,
white.
but that's awesome though. That's where it all
But
began.
I had to use the film, and I loved black and white film, but it's not for everything. So I had great shots in like black and white, and had to replace the next roll, and hopefully it was color. So that's when it really started, and I have those pictures and I love them, and they remind me of how it originally started. And during COVID, we moved down to Tijuana because I wanted to get back in love with the sport where I initially started and had the most support. So I went back to my home gym, and Hivaro Perez, who was a former world champ, he was actually the very first one to say, yeah, like come shoot at my fights. And I did. And oh man, I was like, holy shit, I took some great shots because they were so like these great moments, but I anticipate the moment. I know what to look for.
Yeah,
And
so you know, you can see when the punch is coming. Like, yeah, so you're like the perfect person to take the photo.
Yeah.
my hand on the trigger, and I'm just like, I'm waiting, not breathing. And I'm like, yes. And then I look and I'm like, yes, I got that
Yeah.
moment.
That's
So
beautiful.
I love it. It's just, and then I shot the first amateur girls, Nadia and Rachel and Rosarito. That broke my heart because one of them lost and she should have won. And it just broke my heart to see her, like, they're fighting and they fought so well. And I was just like, oh my God, like, it's a horrible sport, not for the girls. But they both still fight and I still keep in contact with them. And that's when I knew I wanted to be strictly with the kids because I wanted to capture moments with them. Like I captured one with Rachel and her dad. Like he gave her a good luck kiss in the ring, like in her
Oh,
corner.
that's perfect. That's
So this day,
priceless. That's
yeah, and
priceless.
it might many.
Boxing pound for pound, Jack says one question. If you still freeze an HD video to take a snapshot of gloves, would they appear irregular? Example, Wilder fans were accusing Fury of tampered gloves based on a few shots. So does that happen whenever you freeze a video? Does it look awkward?
Boxing Jack.
It's going to look awkward because you can't perfectly freeze it. It's going to
Right.
be
Like in the middle of motion, yeah.
so. It's funny because with pictures I've taken, I'm like, oh, that was a low blow, and they're like, oh, it wasn't a low blow. I'm like, it looks like a low blow here, and they still man. So I know sometimes the ref or the judges, and I'm like, and I look back at my pictures, I'm like, no.
That was a low blow. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
even like whenever they stop everything. I mean, their faces are like disfigured and stuff, and the face is gyrating, and so yeah. I mean, I think that that if you do that, the gloves are gonna look, messed up or whatever. I think you can manipulate anything. I really do, to fit your narrative. Do you agree with that? I mean, can
Oh,
you
Yeah, you can.
manipulate a picture?
Yeah, for your narrative all the time. Oh my God, so that's what boxing Twitter does. That's what boxing Twitter does all the time, all the fucking time.
Absolutely. So I think I know the answer to this, but as far as your favorite boxers to shoot, are they the amateurs or are they the pros? Or is it both? What gives you the most joy?
So, okay. So the fighters I love to shoot are the ones that I spend so much time with in the gym as far as professionals. Because like being with Jaime and watching him, I'm like, and sometimes I wanted to tell his photographer, like, he's gonna do this, but I'm like, no, I'll just keep it for myself so I can take the shot.
Yeah, get your
You
shot.
get the shot, girl.
And I love being around them and knowing their mechanisms, knowing what they're gonna do because I know boxing, and so when I shoot them in an actual fight, I'm looking for all these things that I know of them. With the amateurs, you see what makes them happy and what moments they're so proud of, and that's what I like to capture. Like you can tell in their face, it's just gleaming when they know they did like a great shot or they weaved it
Yes.
really, and that's what I like to look for. So definitely more with the amateurs. I love it. I want to continue do a lot more work with the amateurs and with events with hopefully USA Boxing. And if it takes me on a coaching route, great. But if I can shoot the kids and really be around them more and, see them all do better and not go through things that I did, then I'll be 100% happy.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing is that we just we take our experiences and we share them so that we can help others, who may not even have a clue, of what goes on sometimes. But if you had to like pick your dream fight to shoot, what would it be?
That's a good question. Old and new, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
If I would honestly say I would love to be able to shoot again Pacquiao and Eric.
Yeah.
Because it's where I first started and I knew
Oh,
nothing.
nothing. Yeah, you know you.
And I would love to be able to reshoot it and be like, and just, see the difference. Like, I did this back then, now I'm doing this. So for me, that would, oh man, that would be like a dream.
Oh, this is a great question from
Yeah.
Roddy. How does photography affect how you see a boxing fight? That is a great question.
We
A
always
lot.
full of uh, good questions.
It's so in person. Oh man, this is so controversial. So do you remember when Vaquero fought, was it Joel? I forgot his last name. He fought Joel here at the San Diego Pachanga. Vaquero won, but when I started looking through my pictures and actually see a lot of things, he lost it by some points. You know what I mean? So it does. You do.
Wow.
There's a lot of that. Even in the amateurs, I'll be rewinding because I take multiple shots and then I pick
Mhm.
and choose the one I love. But
So
I
it's
take
like,
multiple.
is it like the action shots, like pa 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 pa, like right
Oh
after, and like, you just see like in slow motion the
yeah,
punches and stuff? Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because and that's where I see like, yeah, it was a low blow. Yeah, it was this. Or no, he didn't fall from a punch. It was the punch went to the side of his face, but yet
Yeah.
he fell. It's you see so much, and I mean, I can't post them all out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
maybe the photographers need to become judges then, because you guys.
Well, let me ask you this. So, because my late best friend Stacy, she so there were times, she had some connections with like Maurice Hooker, and they were very, and she had to shoot his fight, and I would ask her, like, how do you separate the emotion from, being behind the camera? How have you ever shot somebody where it's like, this is my guy, this is my girl, and then they may not be doing well, but you still have to take those photos? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, like one of your friends getting their ass beat, and you just gotta keep click 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 click.
So there was a moment when Giovanni Santillán fought on that San Diego card, and because he was my former sparring partner and teammate, and I was ringside taking pictures at Top Rank, and it was so hard because I wanted to just yell like, Giovanni, like, what are you doing? Like, why did
Right.
he get you? But
Keep your hands
like,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, like throw your over right hand, which he throws an incredible one. I'm like, why aren't you doing it? And I admit I didn't get as many great photos from that fight because I was a bit more obviously invested because I know him personally. It was
Yeah, yeah.
really hard. It was really hard.
Especially
But we did.
being right there on the canvas, and you just cannot say anything. Like, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know how easy it would be to take a picture of your friend like knocked out on the canvas, like first,
Right.
for a while, like, and you gotta get those shots. Those are like some of the best shots that photographers take
Yeah.
is when a
Exactly.
fighter gets knocked out.
Well,
So
or if you're trying to protect your guy, like, you don't want them to take those pictures because your guy's out, or hurt, and you're just like, I mean, it's even hard. Like, sometimes if I'm on media row, it's like, we're not supposed to yell or cheer, but sometimes I'm just like, so I can't even imagine being right there, with the camera. That's crazy. Um, have you ever witnessed a phantom punch knockdown or knockout? Example: the Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva knockdown didn't appear
boxing for
to
P
be a
Jack
clean
is
connect.
like
That that that
he
that
got
that
messy
that,
questions.
that's a good either, right? First is the glove, now it's the yeah. And I didn't even see that fight, so I have to go back and watch it now. You got me thinking. So
I'll put it.
yeah,
Pictures can be a lot more, I guess, exposing than film sometimes because you're at a different angle. You're capturing a certain motion, and I can watch a really bad fight with no action, which I have many, many times, and make that fighter look like they just fought. I don't.
they're like, you take my pictures, Esme.
So
Good. Good. You made me look good.
you just have what you're doing, but I really have, and I've people have been like, oh my god, it must have been an amazing fight, and I'm like, man, it was boring. There was nothing going
Right,
on,
right, right.
but I knew what moments and I knew what to capture, and that's what I did. So
That's good.
nobody, you look at just the pictures, you're like, holy shit, that was a great fight. And then, but if you were there, it was a snooze fest, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot you can do with the camera, and there's a lot that pictures can tell. So I feel like for photographers, you got to be 100% because each photographer is going to grab a different angle, and each one has a different eye for something. So it'll
That's a
either
gift, girl. So
Break it,
sometimes
yeah.
my IG pictures are blurry and crooked and everything. So that is a gift. That is a gift for sure. Absolutely, it is. So what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do with this? You know, with photography and boxing. I mean, what's your dream? You know, what do you got to do for it to be like, yes, this is it?
so oh god. So you know the saying that goes, those who can't do teach. I used to hate that, and I was like, oh my god, I'm never gonna be a coach. I'm never gonna do this, you know? Because I can punch, like I was good. And now that I look at it, I'm like, wait, like I have to be a coach, and I have to coach girls, and I have to teach them, you know,
Mm-hmm.
how to be better. Like, you know, and especially because being a woman, you know, Christine, like we go through the same things they're going through with our bodies, and
Yeah,
it's better for us to know and to like learn each other and help them at those times, at those monthly times. And I feel like it's just so important to have more women coaches as well. And
sure.
I think in this coming year, I'm just going to mainly play around. I'm going to do mitt work, and I have some rival mitts that I got and I love them. So I'm going to do more mitt work, more practice, and see where that takes me. But I do want to focus on shooting the amateurs as much as I can, like at their events, you know, at their gyms, and maybe do more portraits with them, but so they can build their profile, so they can build their marketing, because it's where it all starts in the amateurs.
Man, I think that's beautiful. It's like, you know, we've all been through things in our lives, you know, some traumatic things that, you know, of course, obviously we wouldn't want to happen to anybody, but they've brought us here today where we're at and where we are in our lives. And it's we never know why things happen, you know, but if we can make something positive out of it in the end, I think that's what we're supposed to do, and that goes with anything, you know, that's happened to us that's traumatic, and we're here, you know, we're breathing, we're alive, and able to talk. I commend you. I mean, there's been things in my life that, you know, I have not, you know, been able to talk about, you know, to anybody, even close friends, and you know, some family, but so I commend you. I mean, I think it's really brave of you to share these things so that you can help others.
Thank you. It's, I mean, having you both, you know, I mean, I trust you guys. I love you guys. And having the show and you guys has really just helped me deal with a lot. And I was like, it's just time, you know, like I don't need to be anyone famous. I don't need to, like, I just need my story to be heard. If it makes a difference in one person's life, I'm grateful for that. But I think the timing now is, it's fine, because, you know, I've come to terms with a lot. I'm on a path, and that's where it's just going to take me. Um, but yeah, it's like, I don't feel bad. I'm like, I would probably would have put my kids in boxing. So
Yeah,
it's a good thing I was such a boxing mom. But you know, things happen for a reason. I really do feel like it happened for a reason. But now, what I have to do is much bigger than that. Like there's a reason why it happened, and I just have to make sure that, you know, I get to where I'm going to make that difference.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, you know, there's people that could just leave the gym and never talk about it, and then there's other girls that would get hurt behind them, and they wouldn't have had anybody to warn them or tell them, and you chose not to do that. So I so commend you. I really do. I mean, there's even, you know, not that severe, but things that have happened when I was there and in the gym, and I don't talk about it too
Mhm.
much. So, like I said, I totally commend you for that. I really do.
When we, us women, we hold on to a lot, man. We internalize a lot of things. We really do. It's
It's true.
crazy. Yeah.
It's true. But I think when you can let it go, I mean, I see
Yeah.
the beautiful smile on your face and the joy, and talking about boxing and photography and coaching again. I mean, coaching, it's going to be great. And you know that Nike and I are here to help no matter
Oh,
what,
I,
through everything.
I I know. I go to YouTube for anything. So I love having that. That's what's really got me to thinking, where do I want to take this? Like, what am I going to do with it? I just 100% know it's the amateurs. Like
Yeah,
that's where I want to be, and that's where my heart's at, and that's where I know I can do the change,
they're the
and that's where I'm
future.
going to get to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're the future. So, what do we have coming up this weekend? I know that Tierra's fighting tomorrow, Tierra Brown. She
Dominican
weighed in
Republic.
today. And we got
It's,
some fights coming up this weekend.
Oh, can
it's
we
Yes, we can.
um I want to did anybody watch the cat macaque skill and what was her opponent's name? Yeah,
her.
because oh your sound is going in and out.
Mine?
No, Esme. So I didn't hear what she said. What'd you say, Esme?
Wait, Chantel, or what was her name?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Damn, why I can't even
That
think of her. Yes. So, I saw a lot of people online, on Twitter. It was like, I don't even think it was a mixed thing. I think it was a majority consensus that Casca didn't really look that good. But they were like making excuses. Some people were making excuses for her, but I personally thought that she fought the way she always fights. And she was just kind of a little bit
Yes.
exposed because Chantel is, a better fighter. So she made her look even worse. But I felt like she fights like that all the time. And
Yes.
it was just kind of, I don't want to say it wasn't funny, but it was just like her manager slash man, he talked so much shit online. And he was nowhere to be found after that fight. Like he
You're not
like,
lying.
oh my God. Let him tell her she's like, I mean, when he's supposed to, gas her up or whatever.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah.
I feel like she
Absolutely.
just looked horrible. To me, she just looked horrible. But she looked like that all the time because her style just
Yeah.
looks is just sloppy. But it gets the job done sometimes. But she
So
just
yeah, depending on, or sometimes the judges just see something different. Um, you know, it's it's some well Jiffy said that people were saying that McCaskill didn't look like herself, but I agree she looked like she always does.
like she
Yeah,
always does. That's what I said. She
yeah,
looked like she always does. And it's just like maybe
yeah,
her opponent just made her look worse to other people. But I'm just like,
yeah,
she didn't expose nothing new to me. She looked like that to me all the time. And I was always
but the
kind of shocked the way she won some fights. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm not really impressed. Like,
thing, she has a yes man coach or husband, whatever he is, and you can have that relationship with your coach. Like you can have, a spouse that's your coach. I mean, Jackie Nava, her husband took her really far. And
Mhm.
if you see like he will tell her, like, you're doing horrible, like you're not doing this, you're
Right,
not doing what we're training.
right.
And with Isco, like he's just there. It's so positive, and that's great, but he needs to keep it real with her and be like, hey, and there's
Yes,
no improvement from one fight to the next. So it's like, what are you really teaching her in the gym?
yes. But riding yogi, yes. Breakus, she was past her prime, but I also think in the first fight, I mean, did she really lose? I was like, I didn't think that. I
yeah,
think
I'm
they
sorry.
just wanted to
Casca,
crown a new young blood,
it's got to be clear, man.
and
But if you
yeah,
remember, mostly straight punches that McCaskill threw to Breakhouse, it was very basic punching, and she
mm-hmm.
had that. It wasn't like crazy combos that she threw in that fight.
Yeah, Jiffy says, baby, because love can only take you so far. Yeah.
Honey, yeah, Jiffy,
She
yes,
ain't lying. No,
Yes.
and look,
We can't
HLD
eat
is right.
love. We
Ramos is
can't
full of
sleep
it
on your
in
love.
all
We can't.
the areas. I agree with this comment as well. So I think it's doing her more damage than good. Like, you got to be
Yeah.
honest with your fighter. And I don't know if it's because they're in a relationship and maybe he's like, I don't know, but he's not doing her. He's doing her a disservice by not being
There's that
honest.
fine line. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm your coach
Right.
now,
Definitely.
so they need to know when to turn that on and off button.
So, and Lo wants to talk about USA Nationals in December. Yes, ma'am, they are. Official word is not quite out yet for National Golden Gloves in 2023, but that is the rumor. We shall stay tuned for that for sure. Yeah,
Where
I
are they
just
at?
think I just think that it was bound to happen, and it happened. And now you go back, you eat some humble pie with some ice cream on it, and see what you can do. See what you can do from there. But we have some fights this weekend.
Who fights this weekend?
Who do we have this weekend? Is it this weekend? I mean, I'm over here in paradise in Puerto Rico right now, so it's just like I'm not even like, what?
I don't even know who fights this.
What's the date? What's going on? Maybe
Isn't
we
it
don't.
Progress or that?
Oh,
Or
is
is that
it
the
is it this? Is it
oh, you know what? Or is it the following weekend?
maybe I
Is
don't
it this
know.
weekend?
I think it's next
Who
week. I
knows?
don't know
Who
because
knows when Regis fights?
I haven't been seeing that much talk about it on.
I haven't either. Oh my.
It might be next week.
Okay, yeah. Lo, we don't care about that one.
Weather versus
Oh,
Okay, Sonny Edwards, Felix Alvarado could be a surprise. Okay. Oh, Montana Love. That's right. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
DeCare versus
Yeah.
Jonas. Yes. Montana Love. Okay, Jiffy. So Regis is 26th of this month. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It is.
Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, Thanksgiving weekend. So, ladies, let's go around. Last words. We'll start with you, Nika. Last words. What you got to say?
Well, I just want to say that I'm proud of Esme for sharing her story because I know she's kind of shy too. So that was a lot for her to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think is going to help, somebody, even if it's just one person, that's, more than enough. And, it's been a good week so far. And, I have people wishing death on me with hurricanes coming this way. But
God
you know
forbid.
what? Yeah.
Just remember karma.
I'm gonna stay nice because HLD told me to be nice, let it go. Don't be petty. And I'm trying because let me tell you, if I ever bump into this girl in real life, I'm gonna put my foot so far in her ass. But yeah. Thankfully I don't think that the storm is gonna hit us too hard in this area. So I think we'd be fine. So
that's good.
Better luck next time, Ho. But yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in today. See you next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to say too that I'm so proud of you, Esme. I appreciate you, all your knowledge, your influence, and your honesty. I think this was a great show, and it's very enlightening to women and men alike. So I just appreciate you so much and everything that you do. I appreciate both of y'all. Y'all are my girls, and I appreciate it. And I love doing the show every Wednesday, and I'm so happy with the chat. And please like us and share. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. We appreciate you. Esme, what you got to say, girl?
Well, I just want to thank you both. I love you guys. I mean, to do it with you guys it's like, that's what warms my heart because I love you both. And to be able to share the story with you guys and on our show was just the highlight of my day. I was been waiting all day for this.
I know you were getting anxiety attack. I think she was getting anxiety. I know anxiety because I deal with anxiety. So I was like, she has anxiety right now, but I didn't want to put that on you if I was wrong. But I was like,
did great.
Yeah, you did great. But
it was mostly the comments, but everyone. I mean, I love our chat. I love our everyone's just so positive with us, and I love that. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna let everyone know, like I do know my shit because of this.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
you did join in and listened, and for all those of us who do watch boxing, if you see the little girls, if you be vocal. If you see something, just say something. Like that saying that's everywhere. If you see something, say something. We got to protect the young, and that's the future right there.
Absolutely. And Roger, Nancy is working. She has been extremely, extremely busy. God willing, we're going to see her real soon. HOD said, we have all learned a lesson tonight. Thanks again for sharing. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, sister.
I just want to say HLD has very great words of encouragement and wisdom.
Yeah,
He always tries
sure.
to calm me down when he sees I'm like already on go. And I always tell him, okay. And he's like, he knows that I'm not listening. He's like, well, no, just don't say okay, Nika.
Yes. Oh,
But I told him, I said, I'm already
Queen.
41. I feel like I'm stuck in my ways. There's no really, I feel like there's no chance for me to, all of a sudden in my life, learn how to have patience, because I don't. But I'm going to try. That's all I can do is try.
That's it. Every day we just got to try to be better than the day before. That's what I tell myself. Oh my gosh, you're late. You're late. Ohio runs boxing. You're late. No, I appreciate y'all so much, and y'all have a good night. So I'm in beautiful Puerto Rico, and I'm here until Saturday. I'm having a great time. The food, oh my gosh, the sun. The only thing that I don't like is it's 11 o'clock here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
So
like,
yes, you're an hour ahead of me.
and
Yeah.
I'm 2 hours behind Texas, and I'm 4 hours behind Esme, right?
But I don't like this new time change anyways, because I get off at 6 and now it's like mad dark at 6 and I'll be like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't either, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to bed early. I'm going to go home all refreshed.
That's what it's about.
Exactly. Y'all have a great evening. I love y'all. Have a good night. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.